The Little Bookroom by Eleanor Farjeon. The Lovebirds. At the end of the street stood the school. On the right-hand street corner sat old Dinah the gypsy, who kept a pair of lovebirds in a cage. And on the left-hand street corner sat Susan Brown, who sold bootlaces. Susan thought she was about 9 years old, but she never quite knew. As for old Dinah's age, it was too great to be remembered, and she had forgotten it long ago. At 12:30 every morning, when school was over, the little boys and girls ran out through the gates on the way home, and Susan Brown would remember it was dinner time, and she would begin to eat her bit of bread and dripping, and admire the little girls' hair ribbons and the little boys' boots without holes in them. Very often their bootlaces were broken and knotted together, for you know what bootlaces are, but Susan Brown never really expected the little boys to come and give her their penny for a new pair. Their mothers bought their bootlaces for them in a shop, and they wanted the penny for something else, for a top or an ounce of bullseyes or a balloon. And the little girls with their pennies got beads or pear drops or a bunch of violets. But almost every day at least one or two of the little girls and boys would stop in front of old Dinah's lovebirds and hold out their pennies and say, "I want a fortune, please." For the lovebirds were such wonderful birds. They were not only wonderful to look at, with their smooth grass-green bodies and long blue tail feathers. They were wonderful because they could give you a fortune for a penny, and you can't get a fortune much cheaper than that. Whenever a child came to buy a penny fortune, old Dinah said, "Put your finger in the cage, ducky." And when the child did so, one of the two lovebirds hopped onto the finger and was brought out with a flutter of wings. Then old Dinah held out the fortunes in a little packet of folded papers, pink and green and purple and blue and yellow, that always hung outside the cage door. And the wonderful lovebird picked out one of the fortunes with its curved beak, and the child took it. But just how did the lovebird know just which was the right fortune for that child? The right one for Marion, for Cyril, for Helen, for Hugh. All the children put their heads together over the little colored papers and wondered, "What's your fortune, Marion?" "I'm to marry a king." "It's a purple one." "What's yours, Cyril?" "A green one." "I'm to go a long journey." "What's Helen's?" "I got a yellow one," said Helen, "and I'm to have 7 children." "What's your fortune, Hugh?" "I'm to succeed in all my undertakings." "It's blue," said Hugh. Then they ran home to their dinners. Susan Brown sat listening with all her ears. How beautiful to have a fortune! If only she had a penny to spare. But Susan Brown never had a penny to spare, and not often any other sort of penny either. But one day, when the children had gone and old Dinah was nodding in the sun, something lovely happened. The door of the lovebirds' cage had been left open a little by accident, and one of them got out. Old Dinah, asleep on her corner, didn't see. But Susan, awake on hers, did see. She saw the little green bird hop from its perch and flutter to the pavement. She saw it run along the curb a little way, and she saw a thin cat crouch in the gutter. Susan's heart gave such a jump that it made her body jump too. She jumped before the cat did, and ran across the road crying, "Shoo!" The cat turned away as though it was thinking of something else, and Susan put her hand down to the lovebird, and the lovebird hopped onto her finger. Now to have a lovebird sitting on your finger is as lovely a thing as anyone can wish for on a summer day. It was the loveliest thing that had happened to Susan Brown in all her life. But that wasn't all, for just as they got to the cage door, the lovebird stretched out its beak and picked a rose-pink fortune from the packet and gave it to Susan. She couldn't believe it was true, but it was. She put the lovebird in the cage and went back to her corner with her fortune in her hand. In time, Marion and Cyril and Helen and Hugh stopped going to school. They had lost their fortunes long ago and forgotten all about them. And Marion married the chemist's young man, and Cyril sat all day in an office, and Helen never happened to marry at all, and Hugh never happened to do anything whatever. But Susan Brown kept her fortune all her life. By day she kept it in her pocket, and by night she kept it under her cheek. She didn't know what was in it because she couldn't read. But it was a rose-pink fortune, and she hadn't had to buy it, it had been given to her.